Recently I've spoken to a number of groups about drunk driving, or as it's called in Louisiana, operating while intoxicated. But that's a broad-ranging talk. It lasts about 45 minutes. So I was asked to make this video specifically addressing the meaning of the word operating in the law, operating while intoxicated. And the question is it okay to sleep it off in your car? Now, you've all heard talks about drunk driving, maybe from judges or members of law enforcement. And those speakers, in my opinion, tend to stay in what I call safe territory. The answer to almost every question is just don't drink and drive, or just call an Uber driver. So let's say you're on your way back from fishing at the point and you realize you've had one too many. What do you do then? You thought you were okay to drive when you left, but now you feel like the combination of the sun and the alcohol has started to make you feel a little sleepy at the wheel. The bad choice has already been made. What do you do at that point? Well, there's no Uber down at the point, and you're too far from home to call for a ride. So, should you pull over and sleep it off in your vehicle? And if so, should you leave the vehicle running? It's 85 degrees outside and the air's full of mosquitoes. Plus, it might not be a safe area to have your windows down and your doors unlocked while you're sleeping. That's a hard question, but these are the real-life questions that people ask every day. Interestingly, this particular question usually comes up in the context of someone trying to do the right thing. So, let's back up a minute and talk about the law. Louisiana law makes it illegal to operate a motor vehicle while intoxicated. Hence the name operating while intoxicated. Most states, a lot of states, use DUI, driving under the influence, or DWI, driving while intoxicated. Louisiana uses OWI, operating while intoxicated. Operating what? A motor vehicle. So, what is operating? That question can in this case best be answered with an example. So, I had a case recently where a client of mine came out of a bar after having had several drinks, and he didn't want to drive under the influence. So he decided to just sleep it off in his car. He started the car so he could have AC, because it was the middle of the summer, and he went to sleep. Now, my experience with the police is that they tend to be suspicious. So when a law enforcement officer walks by my client's vehicle, he immediately assumes that my client has been operating while intoxicated and simply passed out at the wheel. Body cam video from the officer, though, showed that when he opened my client's door, my client's feet were on the floorboard and his hands were in his lap. Okay? The vehicle was running, but he wasn't touching any of the controls. The law enforcement officer still thought that he was operating while intoxicated and arrested him. The district attorney thought he was operating while intoxicated and charged him. And the judge in that case was also inclined to think he was operating while intoxicated and was probably going to convict him. But the Louisiana Supreme Court had recently addressed this issue and given us a definition of operating that helped my client. The Louisiana Supreme Court said that operation equals some control or manipulation over the vehicle, such as steering, backing, or any physical handling of the controls of the vehicle for the purpose of putting the car in motion. Now remember, my client's feet were on the floorboard and his hands were in his lap. The vehicle was running, but he wasn't touching any of the controls. So my argument to the court was that he hadn't handled the controls for the purpose of putting the car in motion. And the judge agreed. And eventually the charges were dismissed. Now keep in mind, the circumstances in that case supported my client's story. He was parked at a meter in a valid and legal parking space. I've seen similar cases where someone was sleeping in their vehicle, but the vehicle was in the road, maybe sitting at a stoplight for 20 minutes as the light cycled from green to red without the car ever moving. Now those circumstances tell a completely different story, a story of someone who passed out in the middle of operating while intoxicated. So if you want to sleep it off in your vehicle, and you want to have the engine running, and you don't and you don't handle any of the controls in any way for the purpose of putting the car in motion, I think you're okay. Now, will a law enforcement officer who sees you sleeping also think you're okay? Maybe not. So what do you do? How do you avoid getting arrested? Well, my advice would be to sit in the passenger seat. Reach over and start your car from the passenger seat and then go to sleep. Then it's abundantly clear to anyone passing by that you're just sleeping in your vehicle and not attempting to operate while intoxicated. I'm Kirk Piccione. If you need representation with this or any other legal matter, my contact information is at kirkpiccione.com.